Hey, Marlene, welcome back to yet another talk show. Happy Memorial Day.
Thank you for having me, Sudev.
Hope you had a great weekend. Well,
Oh, it's fantastic. The sun is shining.
wow. Talking of the sun, I heard we are going to talk about the color breathing today.
Color conscious. We're being
Color?
conscious of our color with breathing.
Okay.
Yes.
So, conscious of the color with breathing. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Let's go ahead.
You bet. So today's subject has to do with where sunlight activated chemical hormone, that's our thoughts and our feelings and our chemicals in our body and our hormone system, which
Right.
is all of our endocrine system. Energetic beings. If we don't have energy, how do we feel? Forget it.
Right.
We can't do anything. So that sunlight activated chemical hormone, energetic beings, all cells have to have oxygen. We have to breathe. From our very first breath to the very last breath, we have to have oxygen in order for the sunlight activated work that our cells have to do their chores. So breathing sunlight and the workers in the cell, mitochondria, are all connected. And that's what we're going to work on today. Sunlight, when you take and put that beautiful sunlight, which we have today and we're all very happy for, through
Right.
a prism, you then have all the wonderful color spectrums. We've heard about 8 the colors of the rainbow, and today we're going to work with breathe the colors of the rainbow. All work with color and color therapy and healing of the body, which we're going to get into today, works with the breath. It's an ancient art. So, to start us out, the main book that we're going to be working with today is called Light Therapies. It is a fantastic book, and you can see the wavelengths of
Right.
all different light waves. So, that is the main book I brought with me, and we have slides of 15 different books. We're going to show those slides to you
Sure.
so that you know all the ways that color has been being utilized for our health, mood, our emotions, the way we sit and breathe, and the way that we choose our colors tells a lot about us. So book number 1 is building healthy lungs. We want healthy lungs because we need to oxygenate and breathe to incorporate the color therapy and the mitochondria that do the work for our cells. Youth, health, beauty, and color. There's a color test. I hope you've all taken your breathing quiz and we can to work with that. Color test, color therapy. Book number 6 is Know Yourself Through Color. What you have in your room, in your kitchen, in your bathroom, the colors that you wear all make a difference. Color medicine. Book number 7 is 7 Keys to Color Healing. Book
Mm.
number 8, color medicine. We're using more and more color in medicine. For example, they took a factory where all the machines and everything were gray, and they
Right.
painted them. They painted them a beautiful yellow orange, which warmed the place up. Gray is a cooling color. It's a drag me down kind of color. And so the They painted all the gray machinery to be a beautiful golden yellow color to bring up the morale of the factory workers. It brought up 80% of them wanting to come to work and be in that space. It's amazing. Hospitals choose the color that they paint on the walls
Hmm.
because it emotionally affects us. So, book 8 is color medicine. Book 9, spiritual causes of ill health. She has a cell respiration chapter in there on what it means for cell respiration, which the mitochondria do. Color Me Healthy. Color and personality says a lot about your personality. I always wear blue for the most part. I am a blue girl. Blue and green are my favorite colors. Sudev, what is your favorite color?
Mine is orange and some shades of red.
That beautiful fuchsia that you have on is one of my favorite also in the red shades. That is a beautiful color. It looks very nice on you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Light radiation and you, light medicine of the future, the Ott light, Mr. Ott, who made the Ott light for our health and the healing sun. There are many, clear back in 1920, there were many institutes that started using sunlight for health. And in fact, we have a slide. It's very cute. It's called the Sun Cure.
Hmm.
This slide, yep, it's a clinic in Switzerland. So if you live in the northern climates where you get less sunlight, it's going to affect you. Especially, Sudev, I have darker pigments in my skin because I have Native American in me, and darker pigments in my eyes. So people like you and I who have darker pigment in our skin and darker eyes, we actually need more sunlight and energy from the sun than lighter colored skin, blue-eyed blonde. And we don't realize that, and it affects us differently. So some people need more sunlight, some people need more hydration, some people literally need to eat more food. So there are differences, and man, know thyself. So this cute little slide that you'll be showing to our listeners, Swiss Alpine Heliotherapy Resort. And this was in Switzerland from a sun cure brochure, earlier sun cure brochure from 1921. And that is so cute. And yes, thank you for showing that. So all of those books come to one conclusion, and that is just a small part of my library. I have been studying sunlight, the sunlight going through the prism with color, and the workers' oxygen and breathing for many years, and I have an extensive library. These are just the ones that I wanted to show people in case they want to study more themselves. Each book has a unique area on how the color, sunlight, and oxygen affect us.
Right.
Each book is unique in that they have a different aspect of it. And some of them are people that are well known, are Edgar Casey, the Sleeping Mystic. He has a book on breathing and color and sunlight and health. And then are many others. So we're going to concentrate on the one book, Light Therapies, a complete guide, the healing power of light. The reason we're going to focus on this one is because each one of those books and their unique key to sunlight could be a whole seminar in itself.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yes. So starting out with the next slide, it's it's what is light? And it shows you the visual spectrum of light. We have a visual and a non-visual spectrum of light that we see the visual and its wavelengths, and the non-visual we feel. So there are colors of light. Where sunlight activated, it affects all of our hormones and chemicals in our body. The non-visual spectrum of light is like the teacher on recess duty, and the kids are like, she must have eyes behind her head. And literally, she does, because she feels the color that comes through the non-visual pathway. And we will be showing that slide. So this first slide shows us 70 octaves of electromagnetic waves. It has the gamma rays, X-rays, and then there's that very skinny, small, visible spectrum that we see that is very small in comparison. And then the rest of the wavelengths and frequencies of them is microwaves, radio waves, and long radio waves. So that slide is very helpful in letting you know we visually only see a small portion. This next slide is of the human eye, and it gives you, in case you had never seen it before, where we take in the light through the pupil, the lens, and then the retina clear at the back of the eye, and how it interacts with the brain. So I wanted everyone, in case they hadn't seen that before. Now, in the next slide, the structure of the retina has the rods and cones. The rods and cones give us what we see for our color. As humans, we have different rods and cones, not only from each other, but from other living
Right.
life.
Organisms.
Yes. Every 3 days, approximately, we repair and rebuild, have new rods and cones. So we see differently from 3 days from now than we did from 3 days before as to what we are seeing today. That's fascinating.
Interesting, yeah.
Yes, it is Dr. Jerry Tennant, an eye surgeon, who knew about and put out that information. And we will be working with him in a follow-up video. So the rods and cones and how many of them that you have makes a difference as to how you see color. So Sudev, did you know I see color differently than you do?
Of course.
Yes.
Of course.
So that beautiful fuchsia color that you have in your shirt, I see differently than the person that might come into the room next, or your wife, or how you see it. This is a fun thing. There is 10% of the population that has an extra cone. It's primarily 80% women than men do. So
Wow.
men and women truly do see things differently, and especially in color. So
Wow.
that is fascinating facts. If they would have taught me that in high school, I would have been all there. This next slide talks about, it shows us a spring flower. And number A, where the flower is a beautiful goldenrod yellow color, is how we mostly as humans view it.
Mm-hmm.
And then number B in the pictures has to do with the UV filter and how it's seen under UV light. And number C has to do with how a bee sees the colors in that flower.
Like the flying bee, you mean?
Yes, and what attracts them, because bees have many more cones and see many different colors than we do. Some of the other, a gecko has a whole lot more cones and sees a large, very large, broad range of colors that are in our non-visible spectrum that we feel, that affect us, but we do not visually see.
Mm-hmm.
hmm So everything from bears
The bees.
to bees to geckos, ocean creatures see color and have many different amounts of rods and cones. This next slide is the two pathways of the optic nerve. The reason we are showing this is because the visual optic nerve for our eyesight, in that slide that showed the eyes and where the optic nerve is and how we see, the optic nerve in red shows the visual pathway. The non-visual pathway is in blue.
Blue. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it's very fascinating to see and know that we have a visual pathway and a non-visual pathway. The non-visual, the spectrum of color that we do not visually see, affects virtually every organ of our body. This next slide is fascinating in that it is a picture of a juvenile frog. And it is said that, yes, we now have our two eyes, which are the farthest extension of our brain.
Yeah.
So all of our brain, the central nervous system, all of our brain is inside, but the eyes are an extension of our brain, and it's the only part of our brain that we actually can see. This slide of the juvenile frog shows the pineal eye is still present in the juvenile frog. They call it the pineal gland eye, the third eye, which
Yeah.
is the third eye is the one where we see the non-visual pathway. And now we feel it more through our skin. So that is a fascinating part of this book of light therapies, the complete guide of healing power with light that has to have oxygen and works through the conversion of that oxygen to cell respiration by the mitochondria, the workers in the cell. This
Wow.
It's fascinating science. Yes. So the three biological pathways of light on this next slide shows you the non-visual optic pathway, which reaches multiple core parts of the brain areas, including the hypothalamus and our master glands. Our master glands have to do with all of our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, and every dis-ease from PMS to depression to joy to every feeling that we have. So that shows that pathway, which most of us never have even learned in college. You have
Right.
to study the eyes, like I did with Dr. Jerry Tennant, the eye surgeon, and his book is Voltage is Healing. You have to have that sunlight, energy, voltage through the activity of the mitochondria with cell respiration, the oxygen that is converted by the mitochondria to cellular oxygen for functioning to making ATP, the energy of the body. So this next slide is the endocrine system. In case you've forgotten what it was, it's a figure 8 flow in the body. It's the least known system of our medical world, and the thymus is at its nexus. You can take from this, it's an article from November, December 2019, and go back to naturallifenews.com. And this was when I was writing with my column, Bridging the Gap Between the Mental and the Physical. And this shows you the endocrine system, our hormone system, and tells you a bit more about that. And now we're going to move to the next slide, which is the mitochondria. So I know we're moving along with a lot of information, Sudev. Yes. Yet in this video, we needed to get an overall history of the healing power of light through breath. The sunlight becomes color, activated and converted that oxygen to cell respiration in the cell for ATP, and how we use color in the body. So this slide is about a single mitochondria. It's a cross section of it. And what the upper photo is a mitochondria right where the M's are, the two M's, and what it looks like inside a cell. That's an actual photo of it. And the ATP synthesis and cell respiration all happens in this mitochondria. If you study about mitochondria in this book, you will find that mitochondria has its own DNA. It is totally separate from your cell, yet it is the worker of the body. If your mitochondria shut down, if your oxygen in the cells leaves because you do not have the energy, when you do not have ATP and your mitochondria are shut down, the oxygen in your cells will dissipate. And that right there, my dear sir, explains why in doctors, the medical world will share with you that if you have a stagnant area in your body, that cancer only grows in an area that does not have oxygen. If the mitochondria are shut down and you do not have oxygen, you don't have that energy, the oxygen dissipates, and that area becomes a lack of oxygen, and you will then, that is the stagnant area where cancer and disease can grow. This next slide is a wonderful slide because it shows us, even if you are in the sun and you have beautiful colors on you, that sunlight goes through that beautiful fuchsia shirt of yours, or this velvety navy blue shirt or jacket of mine. Color penetrates. How deep does color go? This is a chart that shows you the skin, and color again is sunlight activated, and this will show you how deep the colors go. And it's fascinating because some of it only stays at the very surface, and some color rays can go very deep. The color that you have on today, Sudev, sunlight activated, can go very deep into the muscles. And they use this, and they know it. Science knows it for utilizing for the healing of the body. Blue, we have the inner immune system, the deeper immune system for our organs, and yet we have our surface immune system right underneath our skin. And those blue calming hues versus the warm yellow hues of a sunrise versus your favorite colors, Sudev, of a sunset with those beautiful oranges and peach
Yeah,
colors. Yes, they all radiate and go deeper or more shallow into the skin. So you can see that the blue colors affect our first line of defense in our outer immune system throughout all the skin. That is our first line of defense to anything we come in contact with. So utilizing those colors through breath, because you have to breathe to activate the full breath, optimal breathing consciously to activate the mitochondria, the ATP workers of our cell that produce that ATP, and it is all sunlight activated and affects our moods. Do you think that your moods and your feelings, Sudev, make a difference as to whether you want to get up and go to work in the morning or if you just want to roll over and pull the covers over your head?
absolutely. And it works both ways. If I'm in sunlight, I feel more energetic.
Yes. When I lived, and many people can live in, say, an area where it's very cloudy and overcast and rainy. Uh,
Yes.
yes. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this. Move me back to Arizona where I have more sunlight. And again, we have darker eyes, we have darker skin pigment, and we need more sunlight. Mhm. So this next slide shows the application of a photobiomodulator, which is one that uses light therapy to heal the body. And interestingly enough, it is utilized for hair growth, is one of the things on there. I would have never guessed that. I understand about the muscles and the tension and stress reduction in our lives, but even for hair growth. And then I thought, oh, yeah, that's right. When you're up in Alaska and you have the short days where it's virtually dark day and night
Yeah.
versus the long days where it's sunlight day and night, the children's hair, fingernails grow exponentially 10 times
Wow.
more in the sunny, long daylight days than they do. Just like our plants right now. We are in some of the longer days of our year up here
Right.
in Montana. And the plants are growing incredibly. Whereas as soon as we shift
Right.
into, yep, they will slow down. So now's the time. So this um, photo slide on a typical photobiomodulating treatment shows how modern medicine is now utilizing color, light, therapy to increase circulation, oxygen, and the work of the mitochondria in the cell. All of that and more in these books that I've shown you, and primarily this one that I use all the time of light therapy, the complete guide, because he tells the history. And like I said, each one has something unique to offer, and we will get into a few of those down the road if by the grace of God you have me back, Sudev, and want to speak more about consciously using your breath, which activates the lymph trunk right underneath our sternum through that wave of the inhale and the exhale of
Right.
our breath and pumps the lymph in through the system. Otherwise, it sits there stagnant. So, and that is why medical professionals will tell you if you have asthma or a respiratory issue, then which I have worked with and lived with my own self for many a year since childhood, that you will have a weaker immune system. And it's because it's through that full conscious breath, utilizing colors, your way you feel, the way you breathe affects the way you sit, the way you stand, and so does color. And you see colors. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Right.
Color is in the eye of the beholder, as we saw with that dear little honeybee. So more
So,
on this subject if you would like, Sudev. I hope it was inviting and exciting to know some of these facts. You now have the covers of the books with the authors.
sure.
Number one, to give them credit, but to let you know for years, and especially in other countries, because in America, you could not talk about, read about, teach about. It was illegal to teach about sound, sunlight,
Really.
therapies. And now,
Wow.
with laser therapy, the medical world opened it up, and it's now we can talk about it. So, most of these books are from other countries. They've got
That's
their way
awesome.
of it.
Yeah,
Yes. Okay, Sudev. I know that was a lot of information.
it is. It was. And I look forward for more. I know that you're going to come back for another session on the color breathing. So, but for now, thank you for such a wonderful session, Marlena. And I really enjoyed it. I hope that the audience also have enjoyed it.
Oh, and Sudev, one last thing. Thank you very much. I almost forgot. If you do not visualize color well, you can get colored lights.
Glasses, yeah, okay.
Yes. So you had specified that you liked the orange
Yes,
ranges. This is
right.
what our audience would see if
Yes,
we put the orange color. There you go. The orange color on.
yes,
Yes, and because that's one of your favorite colors, which is a warming color, whereas
right.
mine is every shade of green and blue, and this is for our audience, this is what the colors in the eyeglasses, and you put them on, and if
Right.
you're working with me, you can get sunlight activated through these
Wow.
lenses, and it has all of the color rays of our spectrum. So the blues and the greens are cooling, and the reds, yellows, and oranges. Here's a
Oh, wow.
green. Our planet is definitely green,
Yes.
healing. Yes. So each color has its vibration, its frequency, its wave. And I moved our camera. Sorry about that.
No
And
problem.
are very important in your world. Thank you, Sudev. So sorry, I almost forgot about that part. It's the fun part too.
Yep. No, it was indeed insightful. I've never heard somebody speak so passionately about colors. So
Thank
I can clearly see that.
Thank you, Sudev. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marlena.